Hi, spiritual warrior, and welcome back. So we are now at part 5 in our 7-part healing practices series, and my name is Erika Schreck. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can keep in touch and be aware when I post new videos and new content and maybe even new offers or discounts or deals. So today I want to talk about trusting and accessing your inner guidance. And I know most of us, I should say, have probably heard a lot about this. What I do in my own work when I'm doing Reiki, when I'm doing tarot readings, grief coaching, etc., is I offer a lot of guidance and I give messages and things like that. But as part of what I do and what I believe is part of my responsibility is I love teaching you and supporting you with understanding how to access information and messages within yourself, from deceased loved ones, etc., on your own, and really being able to trust that you have that compass, that you have that inner guidance that is accessible to you at all times, but you might not hear or trust it's there at all times. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So when we talk about trusting and accessing our inner guidance, I'm also talking about you trusting that you have the answers within. When we too often seek guidance and truth and answers from other people all the time, we really begin to doubt ourselves. And I want to empower you to build your power back up and to start trusting yourself even more. So here are some things I want to share in approaching this idea. One is that we need to acknowledge that there is an unseen force. There is a way that we can get information and acknowledge and use our intuition more. So that might be, gosh, one of my favorite practices is just looking up at the stars, because we can't deny that there is some greater force at play, just feeling how small we might feel in the midst of those sea of stars. But this can also mean acknowledging whether it's spirit, mother goddess, God, Allah, whatever force that we might actually acknowledge that is there to support us, this unseen world. Maybe it's even angels or fairies or just forces, the universe that we might call, that really do have our back, that we have that support. So there is that, and we trust that we have our own intuition, ways of knowing, ways of understanding how we can make decisions and how we know we're making the next right decision for ourselves. The second part of this is learning how to connect and access that information and that guidance. And I like to look at it as put yourself in the best place possible for that information, receiving the information, and also trusting that it might not come through in the ways we expect. When we are in our grief and we want to connect with a deceased loved one, as one example, and trust that we can get some answers, information that way. Grief is like this to me. It's like a hand in front of our face. I am not going to be able to trust or see much because grief is so predominant and blocking us. When we're able to feel those emotions and lift the grief, that hand is no longer in front of our face, and so we can see more clearly. So we do need to discover what might be blocking us from hearing ourselves, hearing a deceased loved one if that's what we want to connect with, hearing God, whatever it might be. We need to learn to find the circumstances that best support us in that way. Is it being outside, for example? Is it going into traditional meditation? Is it drumming or rattling? How do we get to that place of listening? Okay, so that's a second major piece, is finding your way of listening best. And how do you hear best so that we don't have this situation and we're not really hearing and able to see or listen. And then we ask. We learn how to ask. And I often encourage you to just say, please, I need you to be loud and clear. So whether you're using tarot cards, oracle cards, or just simply asking and waiting for answers, tools like automatic writing. I can always talk more about this stuff, but I'm just giving you quick examples, quick things right now. How do you get that information? How do you listen? How do you trust? And put yourself again in that best place possible to receive, and then be open to a new language, a new way of hearing. Be well. I hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. And if this was helpful, to like my video. I will see you in our next installment. So why do we need to ask when we're trying to get some guidance on something? Well, it's like going up to a counter at a restaurant and just standing there. You know what I want. Try that sometime and see how that works for you. So by asking, especially when we verbalize it, if we can say it out loud, if we can write it down, we activate the energy. We're actually putting it out there, so to speak. So be sure to ask your question. Ask if it's a spirit guide, if it's God, if it's the universe, if it's just asking your spiritual peeps, I call them my spiritual peeps, for some help, for some guidance. We need to be clear on what we need and what we're asking. And the answers, again, might not be in the ways that we expect. So we might be driving in the car and this song comes on and that gives us clarity. Or maybe we see a sign in another way that that's what I needed to know. Or we pull an oracle card and it actually says yes or no, or gives some guidance. Or a friend says something that we needed to hear. That is what we're talking about when we're open to the answers. And sometimes it is just a knowing. We just feel, I know what to do. So whatever your way of finding out, trust that. And it's through practice, practicing this idea of acknowledging and trusting the unseen, of finding your way of connection, and then asking and listening. It's practicing that sequence to be even more in trust of your ability to acknowledge and trust your inner guidance.